indeed. Yeah, it's a big continent with 54 countries. Probably can be categorized into 3 or 4 different clusters for purposes of analysis. But generally, the broad background context, which I think is always useful to keep in mind when debates on sustainable development and green economies, green development take place in the African context, are probably 4 or 5 important factors. First, is amongst African policy officials at least a very strongly held position that much of the challenges and problems that have led us to the point where we are today globally do not emanate from Africa. Africa has not been part of the massive industrial development, the first or second, and people talk now of the third wave of industrialization. And therefore, to that extent, there's a certain sense of entitlement, if I might put it that way, that not having been part of the cause of the problem, the world does owe Africa something in return. Secondly, even though Africa has not been part of the problem in the principal way, in the direct way, there is also the fact that being perhaps the weakest link in the global economic system, it also is potentially the most vulnerable to the kinds of changes that will take place. So we have a situation in which, of course, at one level, there's an argument that we are not to blame, we are not responsible principally, and yet we are concerned, we are fully implicated, because when changes do occur, as in fact we see them happening in different parts of the continent, we tend to have the least defense mechanism to be able to respond effectively. A third element is what I think is the preoccupation of the policy community to drive development. This is the region of the world that is probably most in need of development. If we define it in terms of overcoming poverty, what you did in Brazil, for example, in the space of 10, 15 years, what Finland achieved in the space of 20 or so years, is something which many policy officials find fascinating. And so the question of how to drive development that will overcome poverty, and in the context of a youthful population, 60% of the population is young, massively unemployed, consequences of which we have seen in parts of North Africa. How do you develop policies to respond to them? These are priority issues that governments are looking at. And at the present time, fourth factor, Africa is enjoying growth. Growth that is coming after 25 years of stagnation or outright regression in the economy. Finally, Africa seems to be back on the map of economic growth, to the point where the bank, for example, is talking of Africa alongside China and Brazil as possible poles of growth for the world economy, of a new Afro-enthusiasm, replacing yesterday's Afro-pessimism. And governments are really determined that they want to ride this growth. It's a commodity boom, which is driving most of that growth, a lot of it mineral and agricultural commodity. But whatever it is, this factor also rings for a lot of governments. Any discussion about how you might make anything that suggests that growth might need to be capped is certainly not on the cards for African countries, globally speaking. So if we take all of these contexts together, I think what most governments have tried to do is to develop a common position, to try to forge a common approach to the question of the green economy. And here concrete initiatives have been taken. I would probably not have time to go into the details of all of the negotiations. It's not that there are no differences on the continent, there are differences, but the attempt to forge a consensus, which is being led by a committee chaired by the Prime Minister of Ethiopia, has resulted in the establishment of a clean deal, an attempt to combine climate-related issues with the continent's aspiration for development. establishment of a green fund, which heads of states decided should be housed at the Africa Development Bank, which can enable individual countries and businesses to tap resources that will be required in order to make the transition to greener technology, to green economies. And to do so meeting the requirements of the bank, of course, which itself, as you know, has been a source of some disquiet, because 33 or so of the African countries cannot, on the basis of their credit rating, actually take loans from the African Development Bank. They have to use the soft windows, the various soft windows that are available for them to get. Nevertheless, the agreement to house the green fund in the bank has been taken. An agreement to set up an Africa Climate Policy Center, which has the responsibility for coordinating the reflection on green economies in Africa, and which I think is in fact going to be convening a meeting on what Africa would understand by a green economy in terms of some of the discussions that are should be provided. So here we have, I think, a fairly mixed picture in which governments are preoccupied with how they are going to drive growth for all of the regions which I do, how they are going to sustain the new growth momentum which the continent has been experiencing over the last 5 years, and how they will do this whilst also being aware that potentially Africa is vulnerable to some of the consequences that would be associated with business as usual in the way in which the global economy is structured and managed. And here again, I think the point which has been made repeatedly by the Prime Minister of Ethiopia particularly resonates in many countries, that we must also understand that although the aspiration towards a green economy might be a positive one which government should commit to, it is not neutral. A decision, for example, to transform corn in one part of the world into fuel that is more environmentally friendly could immediately translate into higher food costs. And we have seen it happen with consequences for food security in a continent which for 25 years was actually encouraged not to invest in food security, because somehow under trade arrangements it will be cheaper to import food than simply to seek to produce them. And suddenly you find yourself vulnerable as efforts are made at one level to produce more substitutes for petrol, for example, or for coal. You find yourself in a situation in which you are facing food security in another part of the world. And how you build up a globally integrated picture that will allow for a proper compensation mechanism to be put in place that addresses vulnerabilities and at the same time opens opportunities, I think is one of the key challenges which the MEDES committee is charged with, which it will have to find a way of delivering in order to have a majority of African countries on board. I think later in the discussion I'll come down to more specific country experiences if our time allows. Thank you.
Maybe just to pick up many thanks for basically designing a quite ambitious agenda also, and challenging agenda we need to discuss. I mean, listening to all of you with your initial kickoff of the country discourses, you made a strong argument where it's about growth. What the role of industry? I mean, is industry perceived as a driver or a particular sector or particular multinational companies or domestic companies? I mean, you mentioned the example of Ethiopia, which is a booming economy with a lot of construction going on. How do you perceive the private sector as a driver?
I probably will not use the example of Ethiopia as the ideal, although I mean the investments, the agri-businesses that have been investing in flowers, the production of flowers, and all kinds of related products, their activities have been in the spotlight amongst Ethiopian activists around the environment who challenge their lack of green credentials actually, and who contests the government's own absence of a proper policy framework for addressing the lapses associated with private investment. Let us take the example of Nigeria, which is my own native country. This is, I think, a classic example of the importance of having broader social constituencies for every urban transformation to take place. It's an oil-dependent country. From 1956, when oil production started, gas has been clear in the Nigerian oil field. If you visited the Niger Delta, there's no notion of night and day because of the clearing of gas on a continuing basis. The consequences for the vegetation and for sea life and oil have been well documented. We are very familiar with the struggles in the Niger Delta. And it took, unfortunately, that kind of a struggle to become politicized from being simple community protests to becoming a political movement that actually challenged the very structure of governance and institutional mechanism in Nigeria for it to begin to be addressed first with seriousness by government, and in doing so, government began to take private business along to seriously address some of the concerns. And I think there I often say that perhaps I'm not very knowledgeable about German politics, but I keep saying that it's interesting that the Green movement in Germany played an important role politically. It became actually a political movement and a political force of sorts in a way in which I see happening in the Nigerian context, not so much by way of a party political expression, but in terms of a political force that challenges whoever is in power in terms of the behavior and practices of very business in relation to the environment and the sustainability issues. And as a consequence of that, I think we have a spate of initiatives. Now, those initiatives are still at the sector level. They have not yet been written into the broader economic strategy, where you can begin to say that nationally there is a commitment towards to a green economy and to a transition in that direction. But at least at the sector level, what did not exist for 40 years or 50 years or so of oil exploration in Nigeria, we begin to see happening for the first time. Gas flaring comes with a huge penalty today, and investments are being made to pipe gas in order to fire industry and provide gas as a cleaner alternative source of energy for the manufacturing sector countrywide, as opposed to simply buying and paying very little fine for that purpose. Questions of corporate responsibility, in which sustainability plans with communities are worked out in places where oil is drilled, has become almost commonplace now today. And I think that for me indicates the importance of the existence of a social constituency in almost any country that wants to make a meaningful transition to a green economy. It speaks to issues of inclusion, but it also speaks to questions of accountability to the commons in a very direct way.
Thank you. You made this strong argument that the green economy debate should not be, as I perceive, reduced really to the good examples of energy transition. But when it comes to industry, it is often quoted that German industry contributed very much to this kind of transition, and not only adapting to a new climate, but also taking some leadership function. Do you see any kind of, in this broader perspective of green economy, addressing these trade-off problems? That also industry is a driver, or is that more perceived as a constraint that needs this kind of regulation that you described?